Christmas popularity. It's Ozark Nana's CookShack on TV. She got barbecues, awesome stews, desserts all the day. Just stay tuned, now don't you go away. Here's Ozark Nana's recipe today.
Everybody, this is Terry Braham with Ozark Nana.
Hi everyone.
Guess where we're going? Lampe, Missouri. You ever heard of Lampe, Missouri?
I never heard of it.
They make lamps there. They're world famous for it. No, that's a joke. No. But they do have one of those old
wood cook stoves.
Cook stove.
We're looking for one.
We're looking for one.
Because we're going to cook on it and we're going to can on it and we're going to show you all how it was done.
Yep. So there you have it. So anyway, come along with us. Check it out. Well, Ozark Nana, guess what? We got some more discouraging news
Yes.
concerning the cook stove. That we have to wait for the lady who actually owns the stove. So I guess we're dealing with a third party altogether, to unlock the gate where it's at. So guess what we decided to do?
We're going to go eat.
Yeah, and we're going to check out kind of a famous place, and it's in Cape Fear, Missouri. And it is really good. People come from all over the place to eat here. And there's what it looks like inside. You know you're here if you see the big red rooster. Well, what do you think, Elaine?
I think I like it.
Okay.
I think it's in pretty good shape. We'll have to do some work to get the rust off of here, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, as long as it's set around, you know.
Taking a video of it. It's pretty.
You do a video show.
Video show?
She wants to do a cooking show on this thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hi everybody, Ozark Nana here. We're going to show you some things today out here on our wood burning cook stove. I think I've spoke of it in the past, but if not, we're going to tell you all about it today. The wood burning stove originated in Europe. It actually was part of the French cuisine era, and they used it to cook all their fancy dishes. It came to the States about the 1800s. And came out in covered wagons to this area. But when it was first put into the home, it was too expensive for most people to even have. So they would use their fireplaces to cook in. Then came the modern day wood burning stove, and that was a big deal back then. They could not only cook on it, but they could keep their house warm. All the daily things were done around the stove. Judy, tell them a little bit about this stove. This is my helper over here, and she is authentically used these stoves as a child even.
In 1952, we moved here into the Ozarks. My family did. I grew up learning to cook on a wood-burning cook stove. I was the oldest child, so that part fell to me. We learned how to, first, fire safety, and then how to take care of your wood-burning cook stove. Your firebox is on one end, where you put where your fire goes. This one has 6 burners. Most of them only have 4. On that end, there is careful, it's very hot. It's called a water reservoir. You fill it with water, leave it going all day long, and you've always got hot water.
Yeah.
To wash with, do your dishes with, wash clothes with, wash kids with, whatever you need to wash. If you use a what we call a trivet nowadays. I'm not sure what we called them back then. You can put one of those on top of your stove, put your kettle on there, and have hot water for tea or coffee all day long.
And it won't boil away.
Right. This stove particularly is a 1939 era. That's when they started using the porcelain. Up on top you have, they called them warming trays. After you cooked, you could put your food up here and it would keep it warm until you got ready to put it on the stove. You had dampers on the top which would regulate your heat. You closed them all off, got your oven going. Then when you got it to the temperature you needed for cooking, you would open your damper and it would let the heat go out.
So it would cool as it
Right.
cooked.
This part over here would have where you put your wood in, where you took the ashes out. It was all very efficient. And they used them all day long. It kept going all day long. It would take maybe an hour to get your oven up to baking temperature, which ours has a gauge on the front. Ours is ready to bake. And I can turn the damper off, which would regulate the oven, and we can get ready to put our bread in the oven. And one little secret with baking in a wood burning stove is you don't put it in there and just leave it. You every 10-15 minutes you check it, because the temperature is not going to be like a modern day oven where everything is the same.
It's not going to stay steady.
Right. If it gets too brown on one side, you move it over or you turn it. But you keep it going until you have what you're done with your bread. And we would always take a nap during the afternoon and then stay up all night and cook 15-20 loaves of bread at a time, cookies, whatever we needed, because it would be cooler at night and it wouldn't be so hot
with the oven on.
So that's how we cooked back in the day, because it does get extremely hot.
Yes, it does.
And it keeps your whole house going nice and warm.
It helps us out here right now. We're going to be able to cook out here all winter long. We do a lot of our prep work for our Wednesday meals and our third Saturday outreach. As the summer progresses, we have a garden that's growing. We will be doing canning out here. But come the winter, we were just standing here by the stove thinking about how good it's going to be out here next year, because we have this wood burning stove and it'll be just nice and cozy out here no matter what's going on weather-wise. So we're liking that.
You can use your cast iron. These are called cast iron skillets. They're made with the same top as the top of the stove. They're very hot, very heavy, but they will go all day long.
Right.
Put your pot of beans in here, stick it on top of the stove, and let it cook all day long.
And it
By the
doesn't
time
burn.
you get home at night, you're ready for dinner.
It was, I guess, kind of the way to do the Instapot of today. This was what they did to prepare, or the meals. You know, everybody's into this fast stuff now, but that was their fast stuff. It was fast to have a meal ready when you got home. It was unheard of, because normally it would take a couple hours
It's
to
like
fix
modern
food.
day slow cooker.
There you go. That's it. One other thing I want to talk about before we go is our contest. We have a dessert contest. If you go to our website online, you can find all the contest rules and regulations and things. There's a form on there for you to fill out. Send us your recipe. We want you to enter. If you happen to be the winner, you're going to get to come out to Prayer Mountain and spend 2 nights in one of the cabins and come over here and cook at the CookShack and make a video of your dessert. So enter that dessert. Go ahead and get it done. We're going to be starting that. The contest ends on October the 1st, and it'll all be announced at Autumn Assembly. We told you about the stove and how it works. Now we want to make a recipe on it. Today I'm going to make an apple pie. And right now on the stove we have 8 tablespoons of butter, and we're melting them. And to that 8 tablespoons, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of flour to make it a little thicker. Now you want to use your whisk and keep it whisked up so you don't get lumps. Now after that, I'm going to add a cup of sugar and a half a cup of water. Then we want to get all of that boiling so that it will cook a little bit. Now, while we've got it cooking over here, we're going to come over to our apples. I have a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon, and I'm going to place it, this bowl's got apples in it, in the apples. Now, I normally use Granny Smith apples for apple pies, but you can use any kind of apple you want. And that might depend on how much sugar you want to add. If you use a sour apple, you want to maybe add a little bit more. And if you don't, you might want to take a little out, depending on how you like it sweet. Now, I just shook them up, got the cinnamon all over it. Now, once this has come to a complete boil again, we're going to pour this mixture over our apples. And that's going to be the inside of our pie. So now we're going to pour it over these apples. And it is boiling hot. So I'm not going to touch this with my hands like I did the other. I'm going to use a spoon. You can use a spatula, whatever you want, but you want to make sure each apple's coated in this sauce. Then I'm going to set it aside and we're going to get our dough out and make our pie crust. Okay, so this is how we do our pie dough. I'm making mine from scratch, but if you want to buy a store-bought pie crust, no problem, go for it. But if you want to make one, you make your dough out. I generally put it in the ice box for about an hour before I work with it. And then I put it out and I have a, you can see it's kind of in a circle to start off with because my pie pan is circle. All right. And then we take our rolling pin and just go on each side until we get it rolled out to about a ½ inch to an inch, a quarter inch thick. So now, if you decide to buy store-bought that's already in a pan, you don't need to worry about this step. But if you buy one of the crusts that you have to roll out, you'll still be doing the same thing we're doing at this point, just rolling it out. You want to get it about 10 to 12 inches round, depending on what size pie pan you're using. Now, I'm going to use a 9-inch, so mine won't have to be quite as thick, as big. But you want to make sure you get it big enough for that. Now, once you have the pie crust in the bottom of the pan, you want to make your top. You roll it out the same way, just like you did the bottom, but instead of rolling it, I like to make a lattice work. Now, you can just put the pie crust on top of the other pie crust and cut a few vents in it, and it'll be just as fine. So what I'm doing is cutting little strips in this pie dough. So now we're going to bring our pie crust over and our filling and put it in there. Just fill that pie pan up. Now, you can just leave it in a pile, or you can straighten them around and make them look like you've laid them out in circle around it, however you want to do. I'm just going to straighten it up a little bit so that we can get to the pie crust when we start putting our lattice work on. Okay. If you want to put lattice work, well, any kind of pie crust for that matter, when you're putting your filling in, you want to be careful and not get it in the edges of around the pie. If you do that, then it'll be sticky and it won't stick together with the other dough when you start putting them together. Now, I'm going to start with the longer pieces and put it right across the middle of the pie. And just let them hang over. And then I'm going to do one across. Then the next one, I'm going to lift this up, put this under, and so on until you get the whole thing put together like that. Okay, so now what I'm doing is tucking these in under, and then I'm going to repress the edges so that it still looks pretty. But I'm pressing those edges of the topping, or the top lattice work, into the crust that's already there so that it stays put. Now what we're going to do is brush it with a little egg and water, and that's just going to help keep the top golden. Some people, after they brush it, like to put a little sugar on it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But you can sprinkle sugar over the top if you want. This just helps it get a good golden crust over the whole pie. My eggs may look a little darker than yours do for the yellow part because we have fresh chicken eggs, not from the store. And now we're ready to put our pie in the oven. Now, in your oven, you probably want to start out about 425. My oven is a wood adjusted, so I just adjust the heat as I go. But in your oven, you're going to have it at 425 for about 15 minutes. I normally take mine out and put foil around the edges at that point and then put it back in and cook it another 25 to 30 minutes. You can tell if it's done or not by the golden color of the pie. So we're going to let that cook a little bit, and then we're going to come back and taste it. Okay, so it's been time enough, and we're going to pull our pie out now. Oh, and it's golden brown. And that crust must be pretty flaky. Just my hand broke it loose.